Welcome back to the She Knows Pro Football Podcast. Once again, I'm Alice, aka the NFL Girl. I've been off covering the Women's World Cup, so we missed some big happenings around the league. So today, we're going to take some time to catch up. So we're going to talk about Ryan Shazier, Gerald McCoy, Joe Douglas, John Jerry, Texans GM search, Bilal Powell, Kayvon Webster, Antonio Garcia, Kyle Rudolph, Carson Wentz, the Oakland Raiders, Cam Jordan, Mitchell Schwartz, Kenny Moore, Harrison Butker, Rishard Matthews, Rico Gathers, Josh McCown, and Pat Bowlen. So let's start with Ryan Shazier. Ryan Shazier may not have returned to the field, but that hasn't stopped him from being honored for his amazing recovery. On June 3rd, the Pro Football Writers of America selected the 26-year-old as the winner of the 2019 George Halas Award. The annual award is given to the player, coach, or staff member who overcomes the most adversity to succeed. Previous award winners include Marquise Goodwin, Eric Berry, and Steve Gleason. Shazier suffered a catastrophic back injury in December 2017 that left many believing he would never walk, let alone play again. Since that time, the two-time Pro Bowler has regained his mobility and even walked down the aisle this past May. Shazier will not be back on the field in 2019, though he will be with the Steelers throughout the season. There is no timetable set for his return to play. Gerald McCoy found his new home for the 2019 season. On June 4th, ESPN reported that the 31-year-old had agreed to a one-year, $7 million contract with the Panthers with $4 million in guaranteed money and a max value of $10.25 million with incentives. McCoy gave himself that weekend to decide between the Ravens, Browns, and Panthers. His decision to sign with Carolina keeps him in the NFC South division and facing his old team twice this season. The 6'4", 300-pound lineman is a 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, and 1-time second-team All-Pro. In his 9-year NFL career, McCoy has amassed 297 tackles, 53.5 sacks, 21 pass deflections, and 6 forced fumbles. Jets finally have filled their vacant GM position. On June 7th, New York announced the hiring of former Eagles Vice President of Player Personnel Joe Douglas as their new general manager. Douglas started his NFL career working in the personnel department with the Baltimore Ravens from 2000 to 2015. In 2015, he was hired as a director of college scouting by the Chicago Bears. In 2016, the Eagles hired Douglas as their new VP of player personnel. Douglas signed a 6-year deal with the Jets. Former Ravens Assistant Director of Player Personnel Chad Alexander will join Douglas as the Jets' new Director of Player Personnel. Plus, Greg Najima will be the Director of Pro Personnel, Dan Zabowski to Director of Personnel Operations, and Kevin Murphy will be Assistant Director of Pro Scouting. Former Browns GM Phil Savage will also join the Jets front office personnel, though his role with the team has yet to be defined. John Jerry will be headed to the Midwest for the 2019 season. On June 10th, Ian Rappaport reported that the Cincinnati Bengals signed the 32-year-old guard. The former third-round pick was cut by the Giants last season and wasn't picked up by any other team. The veteran offensive lineman spent time with the Dolphins from 2010 to 2013 before his time with New York. He hopes to make a fresh beginning with the Bengals. Texans made a major change in their front office. On June 10th, Houston announced the firing of general manager Brian Gaine. Gaine was hired as the team's GM in January 2018 after the team's former general manager Rick Smith took a leave of absence to care for his ailing wife. Gaine began his off-field career in 1999 as a scout for the New York Jets. He became the Cowboys Pro Scout in 2005 and followed Bill Parcells to Miami and became the Director of Pro Personnel. He stayed with the team through 2013, rising to the position of Assistant General Manager in 2012. He spent time with the Texans in 2014 as the Director of Player Personnel, where he served 3 years before being hired by the Bills for 1 season in 2017. With Gaine out, the Texans have spent the last 2 weeks interviewing candidates for the open position. The team interviewed former Browns GM Ray Farmer and 49ers current Vice President of Player Personnel Martin Mayhew. The team locked in on New England Patriots Nick Caserio as who they wanted to bring in as their next GM, but this ran into a major issue with New England, and unfortunately the team's search for a new general manager continues. After their heavy pursuit of Pat's Director of Player Personnel, the Texans backed off their offer when the Patriots threatened to file a tampering charge. With Caserio off the table, Houston is back to square one. With the new season fast approaching, the chance of the Texans starting the season without a new GM grows. The lack of a general manager at this point isn't fully detrimental. The team could decide to wait until next offseason to start a new round of interviews when there is more potential for a new GM to be available. This may, in fact, be a better option than trying to bring someone in with less than 80 days left before the start of the new season. Caserio's contract runs through the 2020 NFL draft, so if the Texans wait, they could potentially get him next season without charges of tampering. Another option is to hire Scott Pioli, who recently stepped down as the Falcons' assistant general manager, to pursue other options. Pioli has previously worked for the Chiefs and Patriots and could be a better fit with O'Brien in Houston. Time will tell what the Texans decide to do. Bilal Powell is returning to the green and white next season. On June 10th, the Jets announced the re-signing of running back Bilal Powell. The 30-year-old worked out with the team the previous Friday and impressed them enough to bring him back. Powell started the first 7 games of last season, rushing for 343 yards on 80 carries, along with 11 receptions for 110 yards and 1 touchdown. In his 8-year NFL career, the 5'10", 204-pound rusher amassed 791 rushes for 3,446 rushing yards and 75 rushing touchdowns, along with 204 receptions for 1,567 receiving yards and 5 receiving touchdowns. Kayvon Webster is headed east for the 2019 season. On June 10th, Ian Rappaport reported that the New Orleans Saints were signing the 28-year-old. Webster spent last season with the Texans, where he spent most of the season on injured reserve. The defensive back previously spent time with the Rams and Broncos. In his 6-year NFL career, the veteran cornerback amassed 122 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 21 pass deflections, and 2 interceptions. Antonio Garcia will start the 2019 season away from the Colts. On June 10th, Ian Rappaport reported that the NFL had suspended the veteran offensive tackle for the first 4 games of the 2019 season for violation of the policy on performance-enhancing drugs. Garcia was drafted by the Patriots in the 3rd round in 2017, but never played a down of football for the team. He was later diagnosed with blood clots in his lungs, which led to a 40-pound weight loss. Patriots released Garcia in May 2018. He was later claimed by the Jets, who released him prior to the start of the 2018 season. With the 4-game suspension, Garcia's chances of making the Colts roster has become very limited. After weeks of trade rumors, the Vikings ended all speculation on the future of Kyle Rudolph in Minnesota. On June 10th, Adam Schefter reported that the Vikings had signed their 29-year-old tight end to a 4-year, $36 million contract extension. The 2-time Pro Bowler had spent his entire 8-year NFL career with Minnesota and has amassed 386 receptions for 3,787 receiving yards and 41 receiving touchdowns. Rudolph took to his Twitter to express his excitement for his new deal, stating he was ready for unfinished business with the Vikings. The 6'6", 265-pound former 2nd-round pick was set to become a free agent next season, but now will remain with the Vikings for the foreseeable future. The Eagles are all in on Carson Wentz for the foreseeable future. On June 7th, Ian Rappaport reported that Philadelphia signed the 25-year-old to a 4-year, $128 million contract with $107 million in guaranteed money and an average annual salary of $32 million. The Super Bowl 52 champion is a 1-time Pro Bowler and a 1-time second-team All-Pro. In his 3-year NFL career, the 6'5", 237-pound passer has amassed 923 passes for 10,152 passing yards and 70 passing touchdowns, along with 144 rushes for 542 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. The new deal locks Wentz in with the Eagles through the 2024 season. Cam Jordan will be remaining with the Saints for the foreseeable future. On June 11th, Adam Schefter reported that the 29-year-old defensive end had agreed to a 3-year, $52.5 million contract extension with the Saints, including $42 million in guaranteed money and an average annual salary of $17.5 million. The 6'4", 287-pound veteran has spent his entire 8-year career in New Orleans, where he has been a 4-time Pro Bowler, a first-team All-Pro, and a second-team All-Pro. In his 8 seasons seasons in the league, Jordan has missed just one game and has amassed 410 tackles, 71.5 sacks, 10 forced fumbles, 9 fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions, and 1 defensive touchdown. The new deal keeps the veteran locked in through the 2023 season. Mitchell Schwartz is sticking around in Kansas City. On June 11th, the 30-year-old right tackle signed a 1-year, $11.255 million contract extension with the Chiefs. The veteran lineman still had 2 years remaining on his previous deal that he signed in 2016. The new deal keeps him locked in Kansas City through the 2021 season. The first-team All-Pro is considered the top right tackle in the league and has never missed a game in his 7-year career. Kenny Moore will be staying put in Indianapolis. On June 13th, the 23-year-old agreed to a 4-year, $30 million contract extension with the max value of $36 million and $18 million in guaranteed money with the Colts. Patriots signed Moore as an undrafted rookie in 2017 before waiving him prior to the start of the season. He was picked up by the Colts and played all 16 games of his rookie season, starting 5 and finishing with 38 tackles, 5 passes defended, and 1 interception. The slot corner improved upon his numbers in 2018, finishing with 77 tackles, 11 passes defended, and 3 interceptions in 15 starts. The new deal will keep the young defensive back locked in through 2023. Harrison Butker is staying with the Chiefs for several more years. On June 13th, the 23-year-old kicker agreed to a 5-year, $20.3 million contract extension with an average annual salary of $4.06 million with the Chiefs. Butker was drafted by the Panthers in the 7th round in 2017, where he was subsequently waived and signed to the practice squad, where the Chiefs selected him. In his 2-year NFL career, the 6'3", 205-pound veteran has completed 62 of 69 field goals and 93 of 97 extra points, making him one of the better kickers in the league. The new deal keeps him locked in Kansas City through the 2024 season. Rishard Matthews has found a new home for 2019. On June 13th, ESPN reported that the New Orleans Saints signed the 29-year-old to a deal. The veteran wide receiver was drafted in the 7th round by the Dolphins in 2012 and spent 3 seasons with the team before signing with the Titans in 2016. He spent 3 years with the Titans before signing with the Jets and playing in just 5 games before landing on injured reserve. In his 7-year NFL career, the 6', 207-pound veteran amassed 230 receptions for 3,160 receiving yards and 21 receiving touchdowns. Rico will start the season not playing for the Cowboys. On June 14th, the NFL announced that the 25-year-old tight end was being suspended without pay for the first game of the regular season for violation of the NFL's policy and program on substances of abuse. The suspension is a result of his arrest in 2018 for marijuana possession. Gathers can practice and play through the preseason, but will not be available to hit the field in the regular season until the week of September 9th. Gathers was drafted by Dallas in 2016, but has yet to make a significant impact, amassing just 3 receptions for 45 yards in his 3-year career. With the suspension, Gather's chances of making the final 53-man roster is greatly diminished. HBO's training camp series Hard Knocks has chosen the team they will feature in 2019. On June 11th, HBO announced that the Oakland Raiders would be that team. Both Gruden brothers, Jay Gruden in Washington and John Gruden in Oakland, were available for the annual series, but ultimately the intrigue surrounding the Raiders were much more compelling to cover. Raiders hired Mike Mayock as their general manager in December. Since that time, the team has added 2 big personalities in linebacker Vontaze Burfict and wide receiver Antonio Brown, and drafted 2 surprise picks in running back Josh Jacobs and defensive end Clelin Ferrell. Add to this the fact that Isaiah Crowell was lost for the season in OTAs, which forced the team to bring back Doug Martin, and the uncertainty of Marshawn Lynch's intention to play for the team this season. The team has a lot of tantalizing character stories to follow on Hard Knocks. Personalities aside, the bigger fascination is the future location of the team. Raiders came to an agreement with the city of Oakland to use the Oakland Coliseum for the 2019 season and potentially the 2020 season, depending on how fast their new home in Las Vegas can be completed. completed. The current timeline has the new stadium opening in time for the 2020 season. While Mark Davis and the city of Oakland made an agreement for the current season, there is still resentment and pending litigation against the team for their move. This too should play well for a television audience, depending on how far the producers are willing to delve into the story in a 5-episode series. All in all, this should be a very entertaining season of Hard Knocks. The new season will premiere on August 6th on HBO. Josh McCown is stepping away from football. On June 17th, the 39-year-old quarterback released an article written for the Players Tribune announcing his retirement from the NFL. The journeyman passer spent 17 years in the league, playing for the Cardinals, Lions, Raiders, Dolphins, Panthers, 49ers, Bears, Buccaneers, Browns, and Jets. He was selected in the 3rd round by the Cardinals in 2002. His rookie season, he was backup to Jake Plummer before winning the starting job over Jeff Blake in his 2nd season. McCown was named the starter in his 3rd season before losing the job the next season to Kurt Warner. He would spend the remainder of his career bouncing from team to team and from starter to backup everywhere he played. He spent 1 season playing for the Hartford Colonials of the UFL in 2010, where he had the highest passer rating in the league. McCown spent the last 2 seasons with the Jets, spending his final season working with rookie sensation Sam Darnold. His friendly, affable nature made him a welcome teammate and respected presence in the locker room. In his 17-year NFL career, the 6'4", 218-pound veteran amassed 1,581 passes for 17,707 passing yards and 98 passing touchdowns, along with 246 rushes for 1,108 rushing yards and 13 rushing touchdowns. Denver Broncos are mourning the loss of their beloved owner. On June 14th, the team announced the passing of Pat Bowlen late that Thursday night at the age of 75. Bowlen had been the majority owner of the Broncos since March 23, 1984. In his 35 years of ownership, the team appeared in 7 Super Bowls, winning 3 in 1997, 1998, and 2015. He was the first owner with over 300 wins in their first 30 years of ownership. During Bowlen's ownership, the team averaged more than 10 wins per season, tying for second best winning percentage, as well as a league-high 199 home wins. The team sported 21 winning seasons, 18 playoff berths, and a league-low 7 losing seasons. The team also posted more than 300 sellout games and more than 350 nationally televised games. He was inducted into the Broncos Ring of Fame in 2015. On top of his contributions to the team, Bowlen helped in the growth of the NFL. He served on 15 different NFL committees, including the NFL Broadcasting Committee, which helped to grow the television market of the league, and NFL Management Council Executive Committee, where he played a role in the collective bargaining agreements in 2006 and 2011. Bowlen was also active in the Colorado community, where he donated more than $35 million to the local community and was inducted into the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame in 2007. Bowlen was a 2019 selection for the Pro Football Hall of Fame in February and will be inducted posthumously in August, a well-deserved honor for such a beloved man. Well, that's all the time we have today. I want to thank everyone again for listening and spreading the word of the podcast. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at TheNFLGirl320. You can also read more of my thoughts on SheKnowsProFootball.com. Thanks for listening and see you back here next week.